Hey guys, it's a Tuesday edition of the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be entertained, informed, and just have some fun?
It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be pod-smacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Welcome to the show, guys. Glad to have you here. It is Tuesday. It is a day off for me, but I'm working for you. And I've got a loaded show, tons of audio, a lot of political stuff, a lot of happenings in Washington, D.C., a lot of happening elsewhere. We'll get to all of it. Want to remind you right up here. See this right here? That's my new design. Just go to tpublic.com. Just type in conservatives. There it is. Hillary and 20 never. I think it's brilliant. Thank you very much. I came up with it. We've got another new shirt that says, I don't care that you're offended. All right. Politically incorrect garb. Order a shirt, order a onesie, order a tank, order a hoodie, laptop cover, whatever. It's all there. You can put it on there. Hillary and 20 never. I love that, and I think you should too. So let's start out with a couple of headlines. Unemployment at 18-year lows, Dow Jones Industrial Average at all-time highs. Voters are slowly giving President Trump more credit than Barack Obama for improving the economy, and that anyone would believe that Barack Obama was responsible for this economy, they're morons, okay? Higher taxes and more regulation do not a good economy make. Thank you very much. It should be very obvious to anyone who has their head out of their behinds that Trump's policies are rocking the country. And it's working in a very positive way. Lowest black unemployment of all time. Lowest Hispanic unemployment of all time. Greatest workplace participation in years. 50% of likely U.S. voters now believe the improving economy is due more to Trump than Obama. 40% think it's the result of policies Obama put in place before he left office. Dear God, you're out of your mind. For those of you who were budget hawks during the Obama administration, where are you now? This includes people like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz. The U.S. Treasury Department announced Friday that the federal government's budget deficit had reached $684 billion, 20.8% higher than the deficit at this point in 2017. Is projected to grow by $200 billion before the end of the fiscal year, which could make the total deficit for 2018 nearly 35% higher than it was last year. We are spending way too much effing money. Unbelievable. Month of July had a monthly budget deficit of $76.9 billion, 79% more than it was for July 2017. Unbelievable. If you're going to be a budget hawk during a Democrat administration, be a budget hawk during a Republican administration. This is madness. This is absolute madness. Not a big surprise, Democrats now view socialism more positively than capitalism, according to a Gallup poll. 53% of Democrats had a positive view of capitalism. 53% had a positive view of socialism. This was in 2010. 2018, 47% of Democrats have a positive view of capitalism. 57% have a positive view of socialism. Thank you, President Obama. Americans aged 18 to 29 are as positive about socialism as they are about capitalism. 51% positive about socialism, capitalism 45%. This represents a 12-point decline in young adults' positive views of capitalism in just the last 2 years and marked a shift since 2010, when 68% viewed it positively. Well, this is what they're teaching in America's universities. This is the Anti-fah, okay? This is the mob. This is academia, liberal academia. This is Barack Obama. All of these things have caused young people to ignore history. Ignore the fact that socialism killed 100 million people last century. But it doesn't exist, right? Because, they weren't around or they were very young. This is kind of funny. Washington Post published an article on Monday complaining that President Trump posed next to a biker wearing a sexist patch on his vest. Trump met with the Bikers for Trump group over the weekend, with some of the group's members at the Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey. One of the patches seemed to ruffle the feathers of one reporter who called it sexist. The patch in question is an image of a topless woman with guns covering her breasts, and the caption, I'm going to go ahead and just say it, I heart guns and titties. I think it's kind of funny, actually. Usually staff members carefully vet people. Settings are the president may be photographed to prevent embarrassments. WAPO's Ann Gearan said the man with the patch was near Trump for most of the time reporters saw the president. They took at least one picture together. The Washington Post also pointed out that the man had a patch reading terrorist hunting permit. I like that. While another sported one saying, this is America, we eat meat, we drink beer, and we speak effing English. Good. I like those. I think those are great. There was an Anti-fah protest in Washington, D.C. There was apparently a white supremacist march, and the Anti-fah, of course, showed up to raise hell and show their true colors because they are a violent mob. They are fascists. They cover their faces and they wreck things. Here's one of their delightful chants. This shows exactly what they think about America. No borders, no walls, no USA at all. This bears it all, folks. This lays bare their disgust and their hate for America. They are fascist, guys. They are the textbook definition of fascist. They are a violent mob. They attack police. They attack Trump supporters. They attack anybody who disagrees with them and agrees with conservative policies. They attack university speakers. They are the mob. They are fascists. They are fascistic. And it's just why point out the irony here? Why point if you don't understand that, you're an idiot. If you don't see that, you are a complete idiot. The MSNBC commentator was on this weekend and defended the Anti-fah from the violence that they cause.
That pathetic tweet.
Before we go, the weekend was not without conflict or acts of violence. There were some journalists who were attacked by street protesters. Those protesters were also going after the police.
These were the Anti-fah. Okay, now they're not street protesters. They're the Anti-fah. They're the ones who attacked the reporters.
Want to be on camera. They're believed to be part of Antifa. What's your take on this?
I didn't see it. I know one thing when I was in Charlottesville.
There it is. We're seeing it.
Yeah. There were a lot of...
Yeah, there you are. You're seeing it. Look, fool.
Activists were like, why are you in riot gear? We don't see no riot here. There is a belief. I'm not saying...
Well, because you bring urine bottles frozen, okay? You bring fecal bombs. You bring mace. You bring clubs. You bring bats wrapped with barbed wire. That's why the riot police are there, you idiots.
Was correct, but there is a belief by many activists, including Antifa, that the police tacitly support this kind of violence.
Where does that belief come? I mean,
that's
come on.
Horse crap.
The police there.
The Antifa, and by the way, what a stupid-ass name. Just a stupid-ass name. We're the Anti-fah. Unbelievable. They're a violent mob.
To protect white nationalists. Do you believe that?
When you look at how the police respond to white nationalists as opposed to Black Lives Matter protesters, yes, you do. When you consider the number of police departments where people have been caught with white nationalist tattoos and the emails and everything else.
Really, police departments? Which police departments? While you're making statistics up.
That's there. Look, I never liked the idea of journalists getting attacked, but no one has a reason to believe, even when you look at how the police responded last year, when you look at the fact that they shut down the metro in D.C. that let these guys go in, people have reasons to doubt the police's dedication to eradicating racism.
But thuggishness is thuggishness.
Oh, yeah, the police, their dedication to eradicating racism. You can't eradicate racism. It's going to exist in the hearts of some. It certainly exists in the hearts of the Anti-fah.
Wherever it comes from politically, and we should be the first to call it out.
This is why nobody watches MSNBC. This is the reason why. Because they are wrong about every effing thing. They're wrong about everything. Unbelievable. No, Chris Cuomo on, he's on CNN, isn't he? He has defended the Anti-fah. by saying their attacks on police and journalists are not equal to bigots. Here is another reason why nobody watches MSNBC or, for that matter, CNN.
What is right? It's been 1 year since Heather Heyer was killed for standing up to hate, and our thoughts still go to her family. We know what happened with racial tensions.
That was in Charlottesville.
Nationwide after that, and this weekend was billed as round.
Oh, no. The racial tension happened during the Obama administration, and it built to a fever pitch, and it was a fuse lit by the president.
Unite the Right, the sequel. Organizers planned a rally in Washington, D.C. this time, but the turnout of white supremacists was thankfully pathetic, which is why
because there aren't very many of them.
I didn't have to go there and cover it. Only a couple of dozen showed up. Proof they lost membership after being exposed again last year as a bunch of hateful losers?
No, not really. No. That's they have always been a bunch of hateful losers. If you are a white supremacist, you are a hateful loser. We've known that. Charlottesville did not start that debate.
No. They're still in force online, but they didn't have the guts to show up, and that's good. Counter-protesters did. There were good numbers of them. The vast majority were peaceful.
You're full of crap.
But peppered in the crowd were members of Anti-fah, or anti-fascists. They covered their faces, confronted police, and berated journalists. And that was wrong. Now, you've been hearing it. There's a lot of whataboutism and spin going on, and it's kind of sickening to me. So let's all agree
You're kind of sickening.
on some common understandings. A protester uses their voice. Song, slang, slurs. There's a huge range, but it is talk. When you use your hands in a violent way, you are a rioter.
Well, no kidding. Why haven't you said that about Anti-fah until now?
And unless you're justified in defending yourself and you hit someone, you're a thug, you're a criminal. You attack cops, you slap the media, you're in the wrong.
Whatever.
Period. But
thanks for, stating the obvious. That is some brilliant commentary by Chris Cuomo.
I argue to you tonight, all punches are not equal
Here we
morally.
go.
In the eyes of the law, yes. But in the eyes of good and evil, here's the argument. If you're a punk who comes to start trouble in a mask and hurt people, you're not about any virtuous cause. You're just somebody who's going to be held to the standard of doing something wrong.
Again, state the obvious.
But when someone comes to call out bigots and it gets hot, even physical, are they equally wrong as the bigot they are fighting? I argue
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Morally, both of them are on an equal playing field. Morally, they are. The Anti-fah, they are a hate group. They are a hate group. They are a racist, anti-white group, anti-capitalist group. They are equally bigoted, and they are on an equal playing ground. Neither is superior. And that's before the fists start swinging. But if the Anti-fah hits first, they are morally wrong too.
No. Fighting against hate matters. Now, how you fight matters too. There's no question about it.
I just had enough of you, Chris Cuomo. You're an idiot. He's just see when you're always wrong. All right, when you're always wrong and you go down a road that's morally and intellectually indefensible, you're going to lose viewers. That's just the way it is. Unless your viewers are radical leftists who don't think. They don't think reasonably. That's why he and MSNBC and what's her name? I always forget her name. The lesbian with the glasses. I'm drawing a blank on her name. Anyway, unless you are bat crap crazy, unable to think reasonably, and a complete political leftist partisan, you're not going to watch it. You're not going to watch it. Oh, this is interesting. Guy was down at the Anti-fah reaction to the white supremacist march, and they decided to. This guy decided to get some reaction from the mob about what they would do if Donald Trump were there. Listen to this.
Hey guys, my name is Benny Johnson.
I'm
here at the counter-protest, the Unite the Right in Washington, D.C. in Lafayette Square. We are asking people what they would do if President Trump were to show up.
Now remember, Chris Cuomo says they're not a violent mob.
This march, some of the answers have been pretty stunning. here they are. What would you do if Donald Trump showed up at the truck? Murder him?
I'd murder him for the people. There you go. You know, this isn't a violent mob. They're just the Anti-fah.
Murder him for the people? How about you, man?
Man, I'll tell Trump to get on the floor and scrub those toilets himself. Because he don't know how to...
Wow, he's a genius. This kid is, wow. Expect a cure for cancer for him really soon.
Fuck clean. He needs to learn.
You need to learn how to speak in sentences that contain words with more than one syllable.
He needs to learn how to clean, scrub some toilets.
Yeah.
Fucking murder him.
I mean, he's America's Caesar, except he's a dickhead. So...
yo.
You gotta take him down.
Gotta take him down.
Love Trump.
Nice.
There we go. Trump.
Nice.
If it came down to
there's the coward. I would grab that effing mask and pull it down and take a picture. I'm so sick of these punk-ass bitches. Sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't have said it. Yeah, I should have. I'm sick of them. I want them taken down. If they strike first, we hit back harder. Let them start the fight. We'll finish it.
And it was a group effort. We'd have to do him like Gaddafi.
Like Gaddafi?
Yeah.
Kill him like Gaddafi.
What would you do if Donald Trump showed up?
Yeah,
Show your face, coward.
I'm a wild out.
You'd wild out?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I would fuck with him.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
You'd fuck
Brilliant.
him up?
Brilliant. Genius.
I would do that.
Yeah.
If I get a chance to fuck him up, I would.
Chance to
You're
fuck
an
him up,
idiot.
you would. Yeah.
You are
Looks
an idiot.
Looks like you got a system right there. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you're a genius.
Stick away.
Not that. Blur that out.
Yeah. How about you? What would you do?
I'd smack him.
Smack him?
Yes.
Yeah, you'd smack him.
Smack the shit out of him, son.
That?
Out him.
For real.
Genius.
All right. How about you, sir?
Future of America right here, folks.
I'd smack him too, but it'd be like a pimp slap.
Pimp slap?
Not a pimp slap.
If the president showed up at this march, what would you do, sir?
Beat his ass.
Beat his ass?
Beat his ass, you bet.
Trump
Sure.
showed up today, what would you do, sir?
I'd throw the fucking bell at him.
You'd throw a bell at him?
Nice. Classy.
All right. What would you say?
Stay classy.
Fuck off.
All right.
You're a
What's
genius.
that shirt say?
Trump is a jag off. I'd piss on his leg.
There you
What's
go.
that?
I'd piss on his leg.
Very classy people.
I would tell his wife to go home and for him to get on his jet and get the fuck out of here too.
Nice people.
Fuck out of here?
Does this sound like a conservative protest or a gathering? Do you hear this at a conservative gathering? The incivility, the violence, the filth, the ignorance, the idiocy. Unbelievable.
And Melania to get out of here too?
Yeah, because he hates everybody, but he forgets
Sure.
his wife is an immigrant too.
He's smart.
I wouldn't say anything, because if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Oh, well, there's a little bit of civility, I guess. Maybe his mother taught him that. Yeah. Huh. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I want to get to Omarossa. Marigo, what's her last name? Yeah, Manigo Newman is her name. She has never done anything successfully in her life. She has been essentially a professional reality TV show contestant. She's been on The Apprentice 3 times. She never won. And she was just booted off of Celebrity Big Brother, I guess. Yeah, I know. It's still on. I know. Crazy, right? Want to get into that in just a second. Kellyanne Conway was on, what was this? I think it was Meet the Press this weekend. And she was confronted basically by someone who thinks that Donald Trump is a racist. Let's listen to a little bit of the exchange.
Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So I want to
This week is the show, of course.
ask you right away about these allegations from Omarossa.
Yes.
You've heard.
We're going to get into the allegations by Omarossa and how just outrageous and refutable they are. Just wait. It's good.
Obviously, she says that she felt a growing realization that Donald Trump was indeed a racist, a bigot, and a misogynist. You seem to be quite close to Omarossa when she was at the White House, and when she left,
She has known Donald Trump for 15 years. Please.
you called her a very valued member of our team for a very long time.
Yeah.
So what do you make of what she's saying now?
The first time I ever heard Omarossa suggest those awful things about this president are in this book. And I think that Omarossa, unfortunately, has undercut her own credibility, whether it's in the NPR interview, confusing a very central fact in the book, that she has never heard those alleged tapes, and then she said the tapes really changed it for me. And this is somebody who gave a glowing appraisal of Donald Trump, the businessman, the star of The Apprentice, the candidate, and indeed the president of the United States.
And civil rights figure.
She told your own network, John, ABC News, the day after she was fired from the White House that she had resigned. Now she's saying she was fired. That that Donald Trump is not a racist. She said she had never heard him use the N-word. Let me tell you something. 2 years ago today, Donald Trump asked me to be his campaign manager. I have worked alongside that man for over 2 straight years now without interruption. I have never a single time heard.
She accepted the job to get inside so she could write a book because she has no career. She has no skill set. That's why she did it. What really amazes me is the president was ignorant enough to hire this woman. We've seen her exposed. We've seen her on The Apprentice. She's a lying, conniving, wretched, awful person. This surprises us that she was going to surreptitiously record her firing. This surprises us that she was going to do a tell-all book because she has no appreciable skills whatsoever.
Him use a racial slur about anyone, and I also never heard Omarossa complain that he had done that. And so the only thing that's changed is that she's now selling books. And look, I think Omarossa is a tremendous disappointment here because she should be taking credit for all the great gains that this president has made with respect to that low unemployment number among African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and others. She should take credit for the fact that in his first month in office, he took decisive executive action on behalf of HBCUs, workforce development, prison reform now, the drug crisis, which He's
a racist.
Tried to work on with Mr. Cummings and
racist
others on his side of the aisle. This president is saying with prison reform that if you've paid your debt
We're going to get into Chicago in a few minutes.
Society, that you should be given a second chance. And there are over 6.6
Barack Obama community organized there for 20 years and things have gotten worse.
million available jobs now in the Trump economy, and we want everybody of every background to have the skills, the training, the education.
Let's move forward here.
Omarossa also tremendous gains on behalf of the African American community and continues to.
She's going to get asked about race here.
And he denounced them, but you're not covering that.
No, but he said they were very fine people.
Here we go.
Why does that matter? Why does it matter that you're not taking the totality of his comments over the stretch of days, John?
Well, because I think it's still a question. Who were the very fine people on the side of the neo-Nazis?
Well, he's telling
this
you
is Charlottesville.
He's saying he denounces, quote, the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists,
He did.
and all those who cause violence.
They're still carrying this torch.
And yesterday, in a very, very strong statement, he said that
they're still carrying that
there was
torch.
senseless death and division. He's calling for unity among all Americans, and he denounced all forms of bigotry and acts of violence and racism.
Okay.
Still not specifically calling out the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists who are...
You just don't...
Did you not just hear that, you idiot?
Excuse me, does ABC even have the quote in your file that you're able to put it up right now for all your viewers? Probably not. But I just read...
Yeah.
I mean, I think
because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Find people on both sides, and one of the sides was led by neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Whom he denounced.
I still don't understand.
He said they're criminals and thugs.
So who were the very fine
Come
people
on.
marching with the
See,
neo-Nazis?
here we go. This has been beaten to death.
He denounced all of them.
This has been beaten to death.
But look, I agree with
What about those who defend the Anti-fah?
I answered the question. But
hey, idiot. How about those who defend the Anti-fah? How about them? Why don't they say we don't like their thuggism and their violence? Chris Cuomo went and he said it there, and then he backed up and said they were morally superior.
You've got to show all the quotes, to be fair. And John, I totally agree with Congressman Cummings. We should see what people's records are. So why don't you go send a reporter to Chicago, to Baltimore, to Philadelphia,
there you go.
Where the mayor of Philadelphia said, we're no longer going to give information to ICE, and a child was sexually abused by an illegal alien who should not have been there. Why don't you go cover the violence? And we've got an increase in homelessness, in crime, in violence in these major inner cities that are governed by Democratic mayors
LA.
who have not lifted folks out of poverty. poverty.
Here we go.
Has
Listen.
not created the jobs.
He's going to take a cheap shot. Here it comes.
Kellyanne, the Omarossa was the most prominent high-level African-American serving in the West Wing on President Trump's staff. Who now is that person? Who is the most prominent high-level advisor?
Here we go. Identity politics.
To the president on the West Wing staff right now.
African-American?
Yes.
I would say that, well, first of all, you're totally not covering the fact that our Secretary of Housing and Urban Development and world-renowned...
I'm asking you about the White House staff. I'm asking you about the people the president is with every day.
Well, the president works with Secretary Carson every day. He's trying to break the back of the scourge of homelessness and drug
identity politics.
Right and
this is just a cheap shot at the end of the interview.
Jerron,
he's losing the argument, and so he just decides to throw a cheap shot in there, a political cheap shot.
Fabulous job. He's been very involved with Jared Kushner and President Trump on prison reform from the beginning.
I've had enough of this interview. I just have had enough of this interview. This guy, honestly, and again, I usually don't talk about the Sunday morning talk shows because nobody watches them. Very few people watch them. I watch highlights of them. I can't sit here and watch them on a Sunday morning. I can't. I'll watch a little Chris Wallace. But I can't sit here and take this. You were talking about Chicago and the mess that was left behind by Barack Obama. And in his entire tenure, 8 years, did nothing. Nothing for the city of Chicago. Nothing. Professor Jason Hill has a solution, and a smart one, actually, for the city of Chicago. And it may be the final answer to maybe slowing down the number of murders, the number of shootings. Chicago is an absolute mess. Every weekend, 100 people shot, 10 or 12 people dead. And, they're 99.9% African American.
Good morning again. 19 people were shot. One person killed in violence in Chicago just in the past 24 hours.
Unbelievable.
That, according to the Chicago Tribune. This is just breaking overnight. And it comes after heavy violence, of course, last weekend. Another 74 were shot.
These black lives don't matter.
12 were killed in America's third largest city. So what needs to finally be done to fix Chicago?
They don't matter when black people shoot black people.
I'll go here to weigh in. DePaul University.
Even when they're children.
Philosophy professor, author of the new book, We
According to the Left
Have Overcome, Jason Hill. Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start simply. What in the world is going on in your city?
An epidemic of mass murders that has been going on for quite some time. And it's a genocidal warfare that's taking over the certain parts of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I think that nothing short of boots on the ground occupation by the Navy, the Marines, the National Guard. I think certain parts of the city should be placed into military receivership. And nothing short of that will.
This is more to protect the innocent people. This is about protecting innocent people. I think Chicago should have curfews in some neighborhoods, and I think there should be, National Guard troops there.
Will be the solution.
I want to get to that and what kind
if somebody tries to shoot a National Guard troop, they're going to lose their life.
Federal response we should have, but I want to first start with and stay with the city. Rahm Emanuel is the mayor. As you know, he's very much under fire of this.
He should
over
be.
This, of course. But I've known him for a long time. This is somebody who was in the Clinton White House. He was on Capitol Hill. He was the chief of staff at the White House for President Obama. And all I knew about him was that he was hard charging. He was tough. He would stand up to members of Congress. He would stand up to presidents.
He's morally and intellectually bankrupt.
This is somebody who got things done. What has gone wrong?
He doesn't have the answers. His administration has projected defense of those who would act violently against the police. His administration has not been supportive of the police, as with so many police departments around the country, with liberal mayors. And consequently, and this, of course, includes St. Louis, Ferguson, Baltimore, Chicago, where criminals can basically run free because they know the police won't respond, because they don't want to be sued. They don't want to be branded racist. They don't want to have their careers ended, and they don't want to die.
I think he's just purely incompetent, and I think that he's responsible since the 2014 firing of certain or forcing into retirement and firing of certain chief police officers and leaders. He's shown no respect for law enforcement or police officers.
Yep.
I think he's plain incompetent, and I think he should be called to resign for dereliction of duty.
We have heard those calls for him to resign. Pardon me. He has said he's not going to do that, that he's not incompetent, that he's trying to deal with the problem. But as you lay out in your book and in your commentaries this morning, clearly the city is not taking care of the problem. So in the last minute we have, what do you think President Trump should do? What do you think the Trump administration, what do you think Congress should do to deal with this problem?
I think, as I've said before, I think the suspension of the Posse Comitatus Act should be invoked. It has been invoked by 3 presidents before, in 1957 by President Eisenhower, in 1992 by President Bush, and in 2006 by President George W. Bush. And I think that
they need it. They need it to protect the innocent people of Chicago. That's what they need. But you know, when you had a president who didn't support the police and sided with those who committed active violence against them or defended those who falsely accused the police of acting stupidly, saying that if he had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was at fault. Trayvon Martin got shot not by police but by somebody else defending himself. Mike Brown was a lie, Don. Did you hear Barack Obama say Mike Brown was a lie? The whole Black Lives Matter movement was built on a lie, on a falsehood. Did you ever hear statistics out of that president's mouth about the police in a positive manner? No. He lit the fuse. He lit the fuse and walked away slowly, flicked a cigarette into the stream of gasoline, walked away from the explosion, walked away from the charges that he'd set in the country. And right now they're exploding in places like Washington, D.C. I thought that was pretty good. Nancy Pelosi. I've got some Nancy Pelosi sound. Yeah, here she is struggling to explain what Democrats stand for other than impeachment of Trump, because they have no agenda going into the 2016 election coming up in November. They have nothing going into 2020 except for more government spending on infrastructure, which is, filling potholes. It's Rooseveltian. We're going to raise the minimum wage. What's the operative word in that phrase is minimum. Going to raise taxes. Going to impeach the president.
As white supremacy and racism.
Let me remind you that when the Republicans took power, when President Obama was president of the United States, what Mitch McConnell said is the most important thing we can do is to make sure he does not succeed. If that wasn't a racist statement,
no,
that is unthinkable.
He just didn't want socialism to succeed because he knew if socialism succeeds, then the country would go to hell in a handbasket, and it wouldn't succeed. It was terribly obvious that it wouldn't and didn't succeed.
With President Bush, although we had our differences.
Yeah, he's a racist. Everybody's a racist. No Democrats are racist. No Democrats are racist. No sirree. They're the most racist. They're the ones who play on identity politics. They're the ones where that's where they immediately go, is toward racism when they're losing an argument. Dividing the country on race lines, sexuality lines, economic lines. Oh, here's what Maxine Waters wants for her 80th birthday. Yeah, wants the president impeached.
Congresswoman, your birthday is on Wednesday.
This is on
pre-happy birthday.
This is on AM Joy, and this, I don't know who this guy. I'll be called racist if I say it, but I'm going to say he's a fop.
On Wednesday, if you could be granted one birthday
this
wish,
is just a love fest for Maxine Waters. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
What would that be?
I guess now my biggest birthday wish would be that we're able to get a leader of this country who represents
God, when she goes off on like this, it's just amazing.
Us, who has the respect of all of our allies all over the world.
Oh, I think our allies are respecting us more than ever. They did not respect Barack Obama.
Someone who has an appreciation for the Constitution. Someone.
Oh, like the Constitution means anything to you.
That does not lie every morning when they get up with these tweets. Someone who not only respects women, but all of the people, and instead of dividing us, would take leadership to bring us all together.
Really? And how are you bringing us all together, ma'am?
This is the greatest country in the world.
Really? Well, I think we just heard from the leftists. What was it? No border, no way, no USA. What the hell? Right? The Anti-fah protesters, those are leftists.
But he's undermining our
You don't think this is the world's best country, Maxine Waters?
democracy. He is making us ashamed of him, and he is
You're wandering a little there. I think we were talking about a birthday present.
destructive to this democracy.
How about a Walmart vest? Maybe it's time for you to retire.
This is a man who's criticizing NFL players because they're not doing what he thinks they should do.
They're not standing for the national anthem, Adam. They're disrespecting those who died so that people could have their asses in a comfortable chair watching a football game.
And saluting the flag in the way that he wants them to.
Saluting the flag?
He doesn't even know the words to the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, dear God.
So he is not truthful. He is a hypocrite. And I would...
Do you know the Pledge of Allegiance, Maxine Waters?
Wish that we could remove him from office.
Granny Maxine, you're straight off the straight off the subject here.
And go about getting the kind of president that we could all be proud of. And if he's not impeached, if he cannot be impeached, 2020 is coming up, and I believe that American people are going to do the right thing for our country. Stand up
Look at
for
that
what is
smile.
right.
He's just smiling. Look what I did. The Granny Maxine is responding to me. This is exactly what I wanted.
Right, and get rid of this man who is embarrassing us all.
And with that, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, thank you very much.
Hold on.
And with that, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, thank you.
Us all.
And with that, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, thank you very much. Again, happy birthday in advance.
Happy birthday in advance. Wow. What a suck fest that was. Let's talk about Omarossa. I've got a little Omarossa talking with Savannah Guthrie. And basically telling Savannah Guthrie to settle down. Let's see if I got that here. Here's a little, well, I'm not sure if this is the Omarossa with Savannah Guthrie, but here she is being interviewed about her new book, which is full of a lot of crap.
You got this. My mind's jumping around.
Okay, this is okay. Hold on, let me.
Hours, but you know,
this is. I'm gonna save this for a second. This is Chris Matthews. Okay, I'm gonna save that because I have another thing. Savannah Guthrie talking to Omarossa. I believe I have this here. Let me play it. I think I have the audio from it. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to start and stop this as I go here. Here is Savannah Guthrie talking with Omarossa about her book and kind of calling her out. And then, of course, Omarossa trying to shut her down.
You leaving the White House. Is he lying in that tape? I'm not certain, but what's most concerning, one, you brought us a new tape. The president, the day after you were fired, we just heard it. He says he didn't know about it. He doesn't like you leaving the White House. Is he lying in that tape? I'm not certain, but what's most concerning, one, why was I locked in the Situation Room for almost 2 hours? Why was I not allowed to leave? I'll get to the second part. Yeah. And lastly, when I asked to leave and I asked for counsel and I asked for my husband, why was I denied at least 4 times? When I spoke to him,
it sounded kind of biblical.
And he said he had no idea. That should be alarming to any American, that the president of the United States does not know what's happening with an assistant to the president who's known him for 15 years.
Yeah, John Kelly was defending the president.
But you brought the tape.
Absolutely.
Is he lying? Because yesterday you told Chuck on Meet the Press you think he did know you were fired.
Yes, because
Right, this tape shows him saying, I didn't know you were fired. Is he lying?
Yes, because...
He's probably trying to soften the blow.
There were subsequent calls after that.
Okay.
There is a complete organization between the two of them. He probably instructed General Kelly to do it so he could keep his hands clean when he spoke to me.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering,
100%.
The other question is...
And what's wrong with that?
Is General Kelly running this country or is the president running this country? Because he said he didn't know and they run a big operation.
Back
Who
to
is
the
the
honesty
they?
Issue.
Wait,
Do you think the president lies
Savannah.
often?
Who is the they in the tape? You can't
John Kelly's there to take the bullets. All right? John Kelly is there to take the bullets. So does it surprise you that Donald Trump said, hey, I didn't know anything about it? Really? Of course he did that. Of course he told that to you. That's what they do. He's got to keep his hands clean of it.
Ask the question, and then
you still wrote a book about it.
Ask another question without my answer.
Oh.
You asked me, do you think he knows? The answer is
you're not sure.
Well, hold on.
In the tape, you can ask the question and then ask another question without my answer.
Here she is trying
you
to
asked me,
direct
do you
the interview.
think he knows? The answer is
you're not sure.
I'm not certain. Here's the other part. Who's running this country? When Donald Trump says that they run a big operation, who is the they? Is General Kelly puppeting Donald Trump?
Okay.
Is he truly running this country instead of the
Do you
president?
think the president lies often?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there was
How long
a report,
have you known that?
There was a report that said that he lied almost 4,000 lies.
Yeah, where did they pull that statistic out of? I can think of a place.
In the last year.
Have you known that he is a liar, as you say?
Well, absolutely.
Why did you work for him?
Yeah.
Savannah, slow down. I'm going to ask your question. Don't worry, I'm here. I've got all the time.
Yeah, no, but
So you don't have to ask 10 questions in 1 second.
Meow.
First of all, he is known to be an entertainer.
That was offensive.
To exaggerate. But I never expected him to lie to the country. I thought that he would take his oath of office seriously.
Like what? Like how?
That he would be committed to advancing this country. But instead, as I stated, there was a report that said he has said something like 4,000
There was a
lies
report.
since he's taken
Let's be
office.
vague here, shall we?
He absolutely has an issue with the truth, and sometimes he battles with reality.
Okay, whatever. Omarossa. What a wretched, awful woman. Dear God. She's done nothing in her life. Listen to this. In her book, Unhinged, she claims tapes exist of President Trump using the N-word. She has only heard it through secondhand knowledge. That's really powerful prose. Hours after news outlets began reporting the claim, she contradicted herself on NPR and insisted she heard the audio personally. Okay, so there's one contradiction. White House fired back, calling her disgruntled, calling her a dog, saying that the book is riddled with lies. Because it called her a dog, he's a racist. Kellyanne Conway, we just heard, slapped down a charge on Sunday about racism, including another contradiction. She admitted on Sunday she was fired from the White House after claiming that she had resigned from the position. Kelly says in the tape that this is John Kelly, Secretary, Chief of Staff, I should say, John Kelly, said that she was being let go for serious integrity violations that he did not detail. He can be heard denying a request for her to speak with the president about her dismissal, which he said was non-negotiable. She recorded the conversation. I would say that is probably an example of a serious integrity violation. Among the explosive claims in the book, her first television appearance since she was booted earlier this year from Celebrity Big Brother was that she was used by the president, who this time last year was under siege for his comments about the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville that ended the death of a counter-protester. She says now Donald Trump is a racist. She's known Donald Trump for years. In an appearance on Meet the Press on Sunday, Omarossa pushed unproven reports that outtake tapes exist of the then future president using the N-word several times on the set of The Apprentice. Producer Mark Burnett assured the president he said no such thing. Said no such thing. She writes in Unhinged that 3 people told her they were aware of the existence of the recording where he said the N-word, although she was not able to obtain the audio herself. So it's hearsay, it's BS, and it's, of course, being celebrated by the media, even though she has no credibility whatsoever. Oh, here's another thing. She says that the president dreamed of being sworn into office with his own book rather than the Bible. Do we believe that? Do we honestly believe that? That Donald Trump would say, hey, you know what, I ought to be sworn in on my book, The Art of the Deal, instead of the Bible. I don't think you can doubt the beliefs of this president with regard to faith. Trump allegedly discussed the idea of selling inauguration copies afterward. Unbelievable. He Can you honestly believe that? That Donald's like, hey, you know what? Hey, I got an idea. Let's get rid of the Bible. I don't think Barack Obama was a big fan of the Bible. And let's replace it with my book, and we'll swing. You're out of your mind. He might have said it as a joke, but no, there's no way. So we have no tape of the president saying the N-word. We have secondhand accounts of him apparently using the N-word, and no tape to back it up. No mention of the people who said it. She said in her book, they continue, this is his staffers, to deceive this nation by how mentally declined he is, how difficult it is for him to process complex information, how he is not engaged in some of the most important decisions that impact our country. Oh, I don't know. Like what? Lowering unemployment, 4 million new jobs created, a couple million people no longer on food stamps, saying that getting rid of the Iran nuke deal, getting us out of the Paris Climate Accord, getting North Korea to give up its nukes. I don't see American warships being harassed by Iranian boats anymore in the Persian Gulf, do you? No? She called Jared Kushner sweet, a term for being gay. Called Donald Trump Jr. an F-up after the Trump Tower meeting with the Russians, saying he screwed up again, but this time he's screwing us all big time. There was nothing there. There was no there. Donald Trump Jr. was in the meeting. They wanted some opposition research. They didn't pay for it and present it to a FISA court, by the way, like Hillary Clinton's campaign did, and the Democrat Party and Barack Obama's Organizing for America. Donald Trump Jr. was there. This woman supposedly had some information. Turned out she didn't. He walked. She just wanted to get into the office. It was most probably to just get in the office and present some sort of an idea, some sort of a pitch. She lied her way into it. She had nothing meaningful to say. Nothing illegal about the meeting, by the way. Mark Burnett called to say there are no tapes of The Apprentice where I use such a terrible and disgusting word as attributed by wacky and deranged Omarossa. This is according to a Trump tweet this weekend. I don't have that word in my vocabulary and never have. She made it up. Look at her many recent quotes saying such wonderful and powerful things about me, a true champion of civil rights until she got fired. Another tweet, Omarossa had zero credibility with the media when she walked in the White House. Now that she says bad about me, they will talk to her fake news. He said that the three-time contestant on The Apprentice who never won said she was vicious but not smart. Let's move on. I could talk about the confidentiality agreement, but I'm not going to get into it. Let's talk about Chris Pratt. He's a pretty cool guy. I like Chris Pratt. Oh, no. Let's play the clip of Omarossa talking to the bat crap crazy Chris Matthews. This is pretty good, and it's kind of ironic too.
You got this. My mind's jumping around here. There's so much,
and that never happens.
Working on this today took hours, but when you
giant suckfest for the left with Omarossa.
We're listening to that tape finally after you published Unhinged. After you published, I don't mind showing it off. We sell books here.
She's not selling any books. And part of it is that nobody watches your show.
Go out, you listen to the tape, and you finally
and nobody believes this wretched, awful woman.
Hear him saying this awful, racially derogatory stuff multiple times in this 3 minutes you listened to. Did you ever try to retape that? Did you bring a tape recording with you?
No, in fact, he was very specific to put headphones on. Yeah. But I immediately called Laura and Eric, that's Eric's wife, to share what I learned, and we had those conversations.
Secondhand.
I actually have those conversations.
You have no evidence.
With her, where I shared with her that
who's this?
Laura Trump.
Yeah.
I called her to tell her what I heard and what was happening.
Yeah, I'm sure she believed you.
She wasn't surprised. She was just kind of in damage control mode.
Okay, show me the tape.
This non-disclosure. The only thing I know
let's hear from Laura Bush.
Is you're a public employee. You're paid by the United States government. The idea of a non-disclosure would only be if you made a separate, I guess, a contract, and I don't think you could ever be required to sign a contract as a public.
There's non-disclosure agreements all over the government. If there weren't, then there would be no such thing as confidentiality.
What is this about the Trump people saying they've got a non-disclosure signed by you?
You signed it.
In fact, they presented me this NDA. They brought it to my office. They refused to allow me to take a copy.
What was your get on that? What would you get out of that?
The moment they said I couldn't show it to my attorneys, I knew that it was unethical.
What would you get out of signing something like that?
It was because Donald Trump was tired of the leaks, and he thought that if he had these agreements, that he could
want to work for me?
Put fear in people.
You want to work for me? You got to sign this contract so you don't stab me in the back like you just did, you awful... Did I mention she's an awful, wretched woman?
When they would stop leaking, but it didn't stop the leakers.
He offered you I did the math, 12 times 15,000. He offered you $185,000 a year for a no-show job, basically.
That's right. They told me I could work from home. I didn't have to come in if I didn't want to.
Great.
Just take $15,000 a month.
How can they talk like that? It sounds like a direct hush money. It sounds like Watergate.
No, said you can work from home. Said you could work from home. What, really? She took the job to get in the White House because she knew that her next way to cash a paycheck would be to write a book. She has never had an appreciable talent. She's a professional reality show contestant. Unbelievable. Chris Pratt was at the Teen Choice Awards. And you don't hear this. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Absolutely fantastic movie. The second one, not as good. Jurassic World, really, really funny on Parks and Rec. Really funny. And he's a hell of a nice guy, and he's a Christian. And here's what he had to say to the kids. You normally don't hear this with award shows, but here he is talking about God.
I know Bryce and I both have so much fun being part of the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise.
Love this guy.
I make those movies just for you. I'm so glad you like them. I want to thank God. I always do that when I'm up on a big platform in front of a bunch of young faces. I say, I love God. That's my thing. I love him. And you should too. And
Whoa! The audience actually applauded that. Could you believe that? Could you believe that this guy he's got white privilege all over the place. He's obviously a privileged white man. And he also says that he loves God. Imagine that. And they got applause. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Okay. I think that's all. Well, no, I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to say one more thing here. My son is going off to college on Thursday. Everything they say about parenting is true. They grow up so quickly. My son will be 45 minutes away, which isn't bad. But there's going to be an empty room at the end of the hallway. An empty room that has had posters and Legos and computer and clothes all over the place. Never put in the proper drawer. He's been in 3 rooms in 3 homes since his birth. One in Maryland, one in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, right across from Cincinnati. That was the first one. And then, of course, one in Maryland and one here in Kansas City. And I've watched this boy grow up. I saw a video. A video that's only 6 years old of him as a 12-year-old with his little sister, the 7-year-old, playing in the ocean. It was only 6 years ago. I'm proud of my son's accomplishments. He is a great young man. This is, there are a lot of life stages that are glorious, and there are a lot of life stages that are heart-wrenching. The glory of watching your child walk for the first time. The glory of the first word. The glory of graduating from high school. And then to see him depart from the nest. There is glory in that, because this young man is an excellent human being. I present to you my son, Will. World, he's a great person, and he makes the world better every day of his life. He's a gift. I'm going to miss him here every day. But I know he's making the world a better place already, and big things are going to happen for him. I don't want to slight my daughter either. She's going to 8th grade. That's a big deal, too. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you get a chance to order a t-shirt or a onesie, I'd really appreciate it. Help me pay some bills. And share it on social media, will you? tpublic.com. Just look up Conservatees. We got 75 or so designs there. And I think they're pretty darn sweet. Thanks for watching. For all of you parents who are sending kids off to college, I'm there with you. Have a glorious weekend, or week, I should say, rest of the week and weekend, and God bless, and I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now.